Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and this is my channel where I share everything to do with living a handmade, homegrown and slow life here in the Cotswolds. So today's video is a very exciting video. I am going to be I'm going to be talking about all of my autumn makes plans. You guys know, if you've been following me for a while, that I absolutely love to do a seasonal makes plans video, all of the things that I'm hoping to make. I don't always get round to everything on my list, so I am trying to be a bit more careful and considered and sensible when it comes to making my my seasonal plans. So this year I have been a little bit more toned back just so that I can actually keep up with it, because I don't want to feel like stressed out by all the things that I've got on my list that I'm hoping to get through. I've sort of become quite accepting of the fact that maybe if it doesn't get done, then, you know, I'll leave it in my stash and it'll get done next year or something like that. But yeah, I have pulled out a bunch of fabrics and yarns from stash. A couple of things, I think the yarn especially, a couple of the yarns I have bought over the last sort of like 3 months in preparation for autumn. But the fabrics are all from stash bar one, which I got from the charity shop, which I will show you. I am going to be going to the Stitch Festival in a few weeks time in October, so I'm expecting to pick up maybe 1 or 2 fabrics then. But yeah, I am trying really hard to get through my stash and to get through things that I already own, and to try and use patterns that I already own as well, and try to be sort of as thrifty and sustainable as I possibly can with my making. So yeah, let's get into the video. If you are here for knitting or you're here for sewing and you don't do both, there will be chapters in the video so you can easily swap. We're going to start with knitting, so if you're actually here for sewing you can just skip to the sewing section, and if you're just here for knitting you can watch knitting and then, you know, that's it. Skip to the end basically. So yeah, I hope this video will be great for all the different crafters who follow me here on this channel. Okay, so my very first piece of autumn knitwear that I'm going to share, I have actually already started, and that is the Holm sweater by Mode at Rowan. You guys might remember that I went to the Mode at Rowan launch event back in May. They launched 6 new yarns and all of their new pattern collection as well. It's absolutely beautiful. I have been working with them a little bit over the summer, and they have very kindly gifted me the yarn to make one of their projects. So this is the beautiful yarn. This is Mode at Rowan alpaca wool, which, as I say, is a brand new yarn that has just become available at the beginning of September. It is 50% wool and 50% alpaca. I got it in this beautiful olive green shade, which I just think is lovely. You can see against my autumnal outfit. So yeah, I decided to make the sweater because I absolutely love cables. Autumn, winter cables are just like what I want to knit. You'll see that as well with my other knitting plans, that cables are just the thing for me. I absolutely love working with alpaca and wool for cables as well, because the wool gives it some real structure and the alpaca makes it so soft and comfortable to wear. So yeah, I'll put up some pictures of the jumper where I've got with it as well. I have made the back, and I have made not quite half yet of the front, but I am hoping to have it mostly done by the end of September. I started it over the summer in July, but I had a little break in between because I had some other projects on the go. I had things that I was making for Goodwood and presents that I was making and things like that. But now I'm very much a mono knitter. I like to work on one project at a time. So now I'm really sort of quite focused on it, and I'm really going to try hard to get it done so that when the weather gets colder, I'll be able to wear it. At the moment, it's still actually very warm here in the Cotswolds in the south of England, so it's like sort of 21-22 degrees today. I think next week it's due to go down to about 18, but it's certainly not cold enough to be wearing a big woolly alpaca jumper, so I definitely have some time. So that's sort of one of my priorities, is to try and get this done so that it's ready for when I want to wear it. That's often the thing with knitting, is that although I like to do my autumn plans, I like to sit down at the beginning of the season and figure out what I want to make and where the gaps are in my wardrobe. I actually have to think about knitwear a few months earlier than that, because really you want to be starting some knitwear in July or August, because I'm not the fastest knitter. So to make sure that I actually have it to wear during that time period, I do start a bit earlier. But yeah, that is my first lovely make, is the Holm sweater. Okay, my next beautiful yarn that I have, you may recognize if you watched last week's video, which oh yeah, it's in focus, which is Unravel Fest vlog. So I went to Unravel Festival last weekend. It was amazing. I had the best time. Make sure you watch that vlog. I'll leave it linked below, because it was just so much fun and I had a really wonderful time. But I picked up this from Dina's Home of Crafts. This is a DK weight 100% Corriedale wool in this beautiful like deep dark ochre rusty colour. The shade is actually called Tobacco. And basically I went in to the yarn show wanting to find basically one skein of yarn for this exact project, which is the winter cabled beanie. Now this pattern is also in, I think, Norwegian. So it has another name that I'm definitely not going to pronounce, but it's basically a beautiful cabled beanie. I've been really wanting to make a cabled beanie because I have a few hats that I've made over the years. I have two actually, a pink one and a black one, that are both the same pattern from Rowan, made in a beautiful alpaca wool, and it's like a broken rib stitch, and they look really great and I really love them, but I just wanted something a little bit more detailed. And I also think this kind of colour really suits me because of my quite dark hair. So I often wear a lot of like ochres and golds and rust colours this time of year. I probably won't need to actually wear a woolly hat until like the end of October, beginning of November. I don't think it's going to be cold enough to need one for my dog walks. Although having said that, this morning I think it was about 9 degrees when I got up for the dog walk. It was all misty and cold. So yeah, you do often find, like, I go quite early in the morning on my dog walks. So as I say, when we get into November, you know, you're talking like 2 or 3 degrees. But yeah, I'm not going to get huge amounts of wear of it, so I've so I have got a lot of time to work on it. So yeah, I'm really excited to do a beautiful cabled hat. I did a lot of yarn squishing and stroking. I didn't want to like rub them on my face and my head because I was wearing makeup and I didn't think that would be very acceptable. But I think this is soft enough to be able to wear against my head, because obviously it's quite a sensitive area. But I wanted a wool, not a merino, because merino just stretches quite badly. Like superwash merino, which was a lot of what they had there at the shows, it stretches very badly. So I wanted something that was going to hold its shape, because it gets quite stretched, a hat with that ribbing. And also really show the detail of those beautiful cables. So I'm so excited to work on that soon. Okay, my next project is another absolutely stunning autumnal yarn. Now this is from Nervous Fibres. I bought this from the Woolly Brew in Pittenweem in Scotland, in Fife, along the East Neuk. When we were there in July, my husband's family live in Fife, and so we were visiting, and there's a lovely shop in Pittenweem called the Woolly Brew that sells lots of beautiful hand-dyed yarns, Scottish yarns, lots of natural fibres, and I wanted to pick up some sock yarn in a beautiful autumnal shade like this, sort of rust or like a yellow. And when I saw this, I was like, that is absolutely perfect. I just love this. It's so gorgeous. So yes, I picked up this beautiful yarn, and what I want to make is actually a pattern from this book. Now I got this book a while ago for Christmas off, there we go. Not in focus. I got this a while ago from my sister, a good few years ago now, for Christmas, and I am very ashamed to say I've not knit a single pattern from it. I have knit the same pair of socks like 4 or 5 times now, which are just simple stocking net stitch socks, because I've had self-striping yarn mostly from West Yorkshire Spinners, and they've been sort of like my journey, like traveling in the car project. I don't have to look at all. It's just stocking net stitch, like round in little tiny circular needles. And I really want to branch out from that. I really want to make some more complicated socks. I love cabled socks so much. I just think they look gorgeous and they're just perfect for this time of year. So I am actually gonna start with the very first pattern in the book, which is called Intersections, and it's by Marceline Smith. So I hope you guys can see this lovely picture. So it's not a hugely complicated sock. It's a fairly easy cable, which I think is going to be good for me to start off with. In fact, I think it's a very similar cable to what I'm doing on my home sweater. It's going to be a good one for me to start off with my first like non-stocking net stitch sock. It's also knit on 2.5mm needles, and I already have some 2.5mm circular needles, both like long circular but also like short circumference ones, which are really good for knitting socks, I find. So yeah, I'm gonna follow that pattern, and I think it's gonna be absolutely gorgeous in this beautiful orange shade rusty yarn. And hopefully it'll get cold enough to actually wear the socks in the next few months. Okay, my final project is actually a pattern that hasn't been released yet. It will be released, I think, in the next week or two. Very kindly, my friend Laura from Penrose Knits has gifted me the pattern, which was so lovely of her, because I just fell in love with it the minute I saw it. It is a hot water bottle cover, covered in pumpkins and coffee mugs, and then there's another one where you can do mushrooms and sunflowers and acorns, and basically just all the glorious things of autumn. And I was just like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need this in my life. I use hot water bottles a lot because I live with a chronic pain condition, and yeah, I need it in the winter because the cold really triggers it. So I do have a hot water bottle cover that I knitted myself, but it's just in acrylic and it's not particularly nice, and I don't think it's particularly insulating either. Whereas I was thinking if I knit in 100% British wool, that would be really insulating. It will keep the hot water bottle hot for quite a while, and it'll just be super cozy. So I picked up this beautiful organic Friesland Dorset wool from the Natural Fibre Company. Oh no, it's not from the Natural Fibre Company. It's from Middle Camp Scott Farm. So I have this little piece of information here. So basically it's from their sheep. I think they keep sheep for like different purpose for lamb, and also like they're now using the fleece to make some very sort of like beautiful rustic organic British yarns. I just loved it. They had a whole basket of undyed stuff. I talked about this in my last video, and they're just beautiful, and I just thought that would work so well for the hot water bottle cover. My hope is you need a green and an orange and a brown to go with this for the hot water bottle cover. So I should have some leftovers from this for the pumpkin, and if not, I'll probably have some leftovers from this as well. I know for definite, because I'm cropping the jumper, the home jumper, I've got some leftovers of this, so that's my green. So the only thing I'm missing is a brown, but I am thinking I can always change that out for a different colour, because I have got quite a few mini skeins in my stash. I haven't really had a proper chance to look at them, but there's some there that aren't like a dark brown like Laura's used in her pattern. They're more of a kind of like softer, lighter brown, and I think that would work really well because it's just for the coffee cups, and so I think that will look really great. So yeah, I'm just going to try and use up stuff from stash, but I didn't have anything that would work as the base, so this is my base. So yeah, I'm really excited to make this one, and yeah, that is my last knit for autumn. As I say, I'm trying to be quite conservative. I'm trying to be quite careful. If I finish all of those, then yes, I might add in something else, but it's likely that I will finish all of those in like mid-November. So I'm just going to move on to like winter projects and maybe some Christmas projects or something like that. Yes, I said the word Christmas. Apologies to anybody that upsets. It's a little bit early, but yeah, I will probably, yeah, after all of this, then I'll have time to move on to winter and Christmas projects. So I think I'm going to keep my knitting at that level, because that feels very doable and I'm really excited, and those are things that I really need in my home and in my wardrobe. They're going to be really, really useful. So yeah, I'm quite excited for all of those beautiful knits. Okay, I think now is a great time to talk about the sponsor of today's video, because I am going to need to be caking up quite a lot of yarns. So today's video is kindly sponsored by CayDo's electric yarn winder, and I'm just going to insert a little bit of information about this amazing tool for you now. As we move into autumn, a lot of us are going to be caking up our beautiful skeins of yarn, and I don't know if any of you are like me, but I personally find this quite stressful. I always seem to get my yarn tangled and in a knot. I always need lots of help. I need my husband to give me a hand, and it's always just a real pain in the bum. So when CayDo said they wanted to send me their electric wool winder, I was like, yes, that sounds incredible. I am so pleased with this. It's really easy to use. I found that the instructions really easy to follow. I even, I was able to like screw it all together following the instructions, which I was really pleased about. And yeah, it was just so easy just to set this up, and I just got to sit back and relax and just watch my skein like beautifully cake up. I actually have a 30% discount code for this. It's in the description bar below, so make sure you follow my link and use my discount code to grab one of these really great tools. And yeah, let me know how you guys find it if you buy one. Okay, now we're going to move on to sewing. I have got a gorgeous pile of fabrics here behind me, which you might be able to see. So let's get started. If you've been watching me for a while, you may remember this beautiful fabric, which I picked up last year from Hey Sew Sisters studio open day in Scotland, in Edinburgh, when I was there last summer. Just coincided that when I was on holiday seeing my family in law, that the studio was open and we could go on the way home, which is really exciting. But yeah, I just fell in love with this. It's a stunning viscose. It wasn't cheap at all. And so I think that kind of scared me, because I basically didn't get round to sewing it last year because I was just a bit worried about it. I was like, I didn't want to ruin it. I didn't want to do anything bad. And yeah, it was just like really stressing me out. But now I'm like, I really need to get round to this, because like right now, got quite warm weather, as I say, like 21 degrees, going down to 18 next week, the end of September. I think I need to try and cut into this soon, because it would be really great to have this, and then without, you could wear it without tights, without a cardigan, etc., because it's a lovely viscose, and then you could layer it up with a slip and tights and a cardigan as it gets colder and colder. But it is just the most stunning fabric. I was going to use it to make something for Goodwood, and then in the end I decided to just wear something that I already owned, which was the right thing to do. But yeah, my thing that I'm struggling with is I can't decide what to make with it. I think I'm going to make an indigo dress, which is one of my absolute favourite patterns, but I think I might sort of play around with it a bit. I've only got 3 meters, so I have to be a bit careful, but I think I'm going to do the like traditional floaty sleeve, but like a little bit shorter, so it's like a ruffle sleeve. And then what I'd like to do is make it like midi length with a ruffle around the bottom. But as I say, I don't know how much fabric I've got to be able to do that. So I need to just kind of play around, put the pattern pieces out on it and see what I think. I also think as well that something I really need to do that I've never done and I really need to get into is a bust adjustment. Is that the indigo dress doesn't fit that well when I've made it in the past, because it really needs a bit of a bust adjustment, a full bust adjustment. So I'm gonna try and figure out how to do that basically for this one, because this fabric deserves it because it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking an indigo dress, but as I say, like a midi length with a ruffle, and then as it gets colder I can see me wearing it with boots, like knee-high boots, and a nice long cardigan. I think that would look lovely. Okay, the next fabric from Stash again, you guys might recognize. I bought this at the Stitch Festival in March. It is a beautiful 100% cotton, like bright yellow gingham fabric. I have got quite a lot of this. I've got about 4 meters. I had bought it because it was quite inexpensive as a sort of wearable toile, but instead I've decided it would make the cutest pajamas. I am desperately in need of new pajamas. I haven't bought any / made any new pajamas in a really long time, and I really need some. So I've decided to make the peppermint loungewear set. So Peppermint magazine has lots of free sewing patterns on their website. It's a like pay what you can situation, and yeah, I've looked at this loungewear set a few times and been like, that is really nice. Very simple, very oversized. I could imagine wearing it a lot, like, you know, on an autumn evening when the fire's going and I just want to put some cozy pajamas on and do some knitting in front of the TV. I think I am gonna sort of spice it up a little bit though, because I've got so much fabric. I think I'm gonna make some little ruffles for the cuffs of the sleeve and the cuffs of the trousers, because I just think that would be so cute. And I might also make the trousers full length as well, so that, you know, in the autumn, you guys will know, dark haired girlies, I'm not going to be shaving my legs that often in the autumn winter because they're not getting out that much. So I want to be able to wear pajamas like in front of people without having, you know, super hairy legs. So I definitely think I'm going to like lengthen the trousers a little bit, but I just think in this beautiful sunshine yellow gingham, that's going to be so cute. And obviously these can be worn all year round, but yeah, I'm sort of envisioning cozy evenings in my pajamas. My next fabric is actually a new edition. This is a thrifted edition. This fabric I got from the charity shop. It was a curtain that was obviously handmade. I could tell that it had been handmade. And it was a big curtain. And essentially what it is 2 strips of about 2 meter long fabric, 150 centimeter width, sewn together in the middle. So I've basically got 4 meters of 150 centimeter width, like brushed cotton fabric with this beautiful gingham on. And gingham? Check, it's not gingham. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. I was like, that is perfect. I love wearing check, especially like around Christmas and in the winter time. But I was like, this will be so lovely for sort of like November time, December time. Last year, I remember thinking in the winter, I got quite unwell in the winter. I had COVID in early December, and yeah, I became very unwell. I really had a very painful bad chest and I couldn't sew for quite a long time. Like I just didn't sew in December or really January. I think I did a bit in February, but yeah, hardly at all. And I remember thinking the thing I was really missing from my wardrobe was some like warm brushed cotton long sleeve dresses, because I have a lot of like short sleeve dresses like this, which yes, you can put a jumper and a cardigan over, but when it's really cold in winter, you still really feel the cold on your arms because you've only got that one layer. So I found that I was wearing my long sleeve dresses much more, and I don't really have very many of those. So when I saw this, I was like, actually, you know what, this would make a really great long sleeve dress that again can be layered up with a slip, with tights, with knee-high boots, with a cardigan, with a jumper. You know, it'll be like a whole thing. I shared it on Instagram and a lot of people messaged like, oh my goodness, what a find, because the curtain was £6 for 4 meters of fabric. I undid all the seams and washed it, and it's come out really nicely and I'm so pleased with it. I'm thinking of making the penny dress. Now this is a free pattern that came with Simply Sewing, but it's by Make with Mandy, and it's basically a really simple, quite flowy, gathered dress with a scoop neckline, and I think I'm going to make the midi length with long sleeves, but I may make it ankle length, to be honest, because I think that would be quite stunning. So have the ruffle, so make this part of the skirt longer and have the ruffle at the bottom and have it as like a full length gingham dress, because I've got so much you know, like space for that. And just to say, I have had a comment saying that I make lots of easy gathered dresses. I do, because A, that's what I enjoy. I have chronic fatigue, and so I can do those very easily without having to concentrate like too much, which is great. And so sewing is about enjoyment and happiness, and that's where I find my enjoyment and happiness. And also I have endometriosis, so I have a really painful, sore, bloated stomach quite often. It's quite a difficult amount of pain to live with, and so I make lots of flowy gathered dresses because that is what is most comfortable for me. So yeah, I don't make a lot of fitted stuff, but actually like, these clothes are for me. They're what I want to make. They're what I enjoy making. And so, yeah, I absolutely love them. I know most of you guys who watch this love what I make and, you know, write lovely, lovely comments. But I just wanted to say that, you know, I make things for me. And yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I make the things that I make. And so this dress will definitely become another gathered flowy dress because that makes me happy. Okay, my next sewing project is going to be this absolutely gorgeous purple tweed. Now this is 100% British wool, which I bought, gosh, a while ago now, almost 2 years ago. I bought at the NEC what's it called, Creative Craft Show back in November 2022, which is crazy, and I just haven't got around to it because I bought it quite early on in my sewing journey and I was just basically a bit terrified to touch it because it's quite expensive. I think it's 1.5 meters, so it's not loads, but it's a very wide width, and I'm hoping it's enough to make a pinafore dress because I bought it initially to make a skirt, but I don't really wear separates anymore. I mostly just wear dresses that I make myself. So yeah, I want to be able to make something that I'm going to get a lot of wear out of because it's so, so lovely. I did dabble with the idea of maybe using it to make some kind of homeware instead, but there is a lot of fabric here, so I think there's enough to make a pinafore dress. So there's a couple of patterns. I saw one, I've got it written down here, the Ivy Pinafore by Jennifer Lauren Handmade. This is a really lovely sort of classic pinafore look, quite like flowy A-line out, which I really like, with sort of little buttons and like a strap that comes over. I think it would be really, really nice in this fabric. However, that means purchasing another pattern, and I do want to try and use things that I already have. And I already have the Sew Over It Ultimate Shift dress, and I have seen in the past people have made this as sort of like a pinafore. They've made it like, say, a size up, like a size bigger than they actually normally would, so that there's enough space to get like a jumper underneath it or something, and I just wonder if that would work really, really well. I think the trick to it will be that it has like quite a big facing that goes down quite low, would be to make the facing in a very like thin cotton fabric or something, which would look quite cute. And yeah, I think that that might be the best option. I think I'd need to grade it out as well because I want it to come out a lot more, like the A-line I want to be a bit more exaggerated. So I think that I'm going to yeah, have to grade it out. My issue with it is that to do all of this I should probably toile it before cutting into this gorgeous fabric. So I'm sort of like, yeah, I don't have any fabric for toiling. So I don't know, I'm really unsure right now about what to do because I really want to make a pinafore because I'm just imagining this. I don't have a lot of t-shirts in my clothing collection because I mostly just wear homemade dresses these days, but I do have a few. I've got a grey one with white stripes, a black one with white stripes. I think that would be so cute. I'd also quite like to buy from Sea Salt, who is like my go-to for ethical, sustainable, organic cotton t-shirts. They every winter do these like high roll neck t-shirts, and I'm thinking like a nice cream or something to wear with this would just be gorgeous. And as I say, as it gets, you know, colder and colder and colder, I would wear hand knit jumpers underneath. So yeah, that's the plan with this beautiful fabric. Now we're moving on to all of my scraps. So this bag is a bag of autumnal scraps. So last year I made a lot of beautiful autumnal dresses, including the one that I'm wearing. I don't feel the need to be adding a lot more into my wardrobe. A lot of them are made out of cotton and things like that, because I'm going to wear these absolutely loads and I'm really excited to do so. But I wanted to save all of the scraps because I was like, actually, this would make a really gorgeous autumnal coloured quilt. Now, I've never made a quilt before, but it's been high on my list. It's been something that I'm like, would be a really good use of my scraps. It would be a really good skill to learn. And for my birthday, my godmother got me this beautiful book about hand quilting. Now, I don't want to do it all by hand because, to be quite frank, I just don't have the patience. So my plan is to cut all of these scraps out into squares, and then I'm going to sew them together along the diagonal, so you get like triangles of the different colours. I'll put up a picture from Pinterest of my inspiration. I think that will be nice and simple, not particularly complicated for my first quilt, but quite effective. And then I've got a duvet, which I will show you. I'll get a cutaway of this duvet because it is an old duvet. We got new duvet covers for Christmas last year, and basically I saved these for sewing, thinking they might be useful at some point. This is a beautiful autumnal print, like forest animal duvet cover, and I'm like, that will make an absolutely beautiful backing. So that's going to be the back. I'm going to do the front out of scraps, and I may end up adding to those scraps with some of this stuff that I'm sewing over the next couple of weeks. And then I'm going to hand quilt, very simply, straight mattress stitch in front of the TV on an autumn evening. That is the plan. So I'm going to keep it all quite simple. I think I'm also going to work in quilting blocks because I also don't want to completely lose my mind, because, you know, I don't have a huge amount of patience to basically sit for weeks on end sewing a quilt. So I think what I'm going to do is try and make a few blocks in between each garment that I want to make from this stash of garments. So I will make like a few blocks and then eventually hopefully have enough to sew it up into a beautiful quilt that I can snuggle under of an autumnal evening, and have out maybe on display as well, like on the back of the sofa in the living room, or on the back of an armchair or something like that, that people can see. So I also don't know how big I'm going to make it. If I lose patience, I may not make it that big. It might just be big enough for one person to snuggle under. But I'm hoping to maybe get to the point where I can make it big enough for both me and my husband to use on the sofa. So that is the plan with my huge bag of scraps, which, as I say, I might end up adding to. Now, the rest of these projects are also really scrappy projects. So these are all leftovers from last year's autumn making. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this beautiful French terry, which I bought from Hey Sew Sister last year. You guys might remember I made a cocoa dress by Tilly and the Buttons, which is a very simple t-shirt dress, really easy to wear, throw on, great working from home dress. I layered it up a lot with like a roll neck underneath it and big thick tights and stuff as it got colder. But yeah, such a helpful thing to have in my wardrobe. Now, I had quite a lot of the fabric left over, and I was just sort of like, I don't know what to do with this. And I, if you don't know, I have a greyhound. If you don't follow me on Instagram, her name is Pearl. If you don't know anything about greyhounds, they are beautiful athletic creatures that can run, I think Pearl's average was something like 39 miles an hour. In fact, she's just come running up the stairs. You might be able to hear her outside the door because I said her name. She is trying to get in now. She is an amazing, beautiful, elegant, athletic being, but she has basically no fat and hardly any fur and very thin skin, and it's getting, you know, thinner and thinner and thinner because she's now a senior dog. She's 9 years old, and she gets so cold in the winter. Now, it's very, very common when you own a greyhound to have jumpers and coats and things like that for them to wear in the winter. But we're getting to the point with Pearl where she's like really cold at night and she's really cold in the house. So I thought I would make her a pair of pajamas. So I've seen quite a few greyhounds and whippets and stuff in pajamas, and it's super, super cute. There's a few patterns online that I think would work. So I'm going to use these to make Pearl a pair of pajamas so that she doesn't wake up in the night cold and then come and wake us up, which she does quite a lot. So it'll hopefully keep her snuggly and warm. Also, we're going to match because I have a dress in this fabric, so we're just going to look super cool together. So that is the plan with this. Next fabric I have is this lovely burgundy corduroy fabric. Now, this is from literally years ago, from my first ever dressmaking project, which was a simple skirt, which I don't really wear anymore because it's just not like something that I wear. I don't really, and it's not made that well either, because it was my first project. But I had some corduroy left over and it was quite expensive. I spent quite a lot of money on my first sewing project because I didn't really know anything. I just went on a nice like independent fabric shop and just bought stuff. So yes, I have this beautiful corduroy, and I've been thinking for a while now that it would make a really nice little like quilted jacket for Pearl. So my plan is to use her wax jacket that she already has as a pattern piece, because you can lay it completely flat because it like velcros at the front and velcros under the belly. So you can lay it out into a flat piece. So cut around that, get some backing fabric and cut around that, get some wadding, sandwich it all together, bias bound around the outside and stick some velcro on it. So I think it's going to be a fairly easy project, and I know it'll fit her because it's going to be the same as the coat she currently has, and hopefully it'll be quite cozy and warm. I think I'll do quite a thick layer of wadding, And yeah, because she just really does feel the cold when we're out and about on walks. So at the moment we often have to lay her up with like one of the hand knitted jumpers that I've made her and a little wax coat. So hopefully she can wear this when it's like getting to like November, December and it's a bit colder without also needing a jumper on as well. So yeah, that's the plan with this fabric. And then the final fabric, you guys are going to think she's so spoiled, which she is, she's a total princess, is this beautiful sweatshirting. I made a Billy dress with this last year, which I wore to death, and I'm sure when it gets colder this year, I'll be wearing it lots and lots and lots. It's so comfy. It's just like it's a giant jumper. That's what it is. It's a jumper dress. So it's just a giant jumper. So I just layer it up with long sleeve t-shirts and thick woolly tights and stuff, and it's a great working from home outfit. But I had some beautiful leftover fabric. I also had quite a lot of this ribbing left over, and so I have decided to make Pearl a little jumper for wearing around the house. So yeah, also all these fabrics wash really easily, which you often find that with dog stuff. Like she has a quilted coat that we bought her a few years ago. When you wash it, it shrinks every time, and it's just like, dog clothes need to wash easily. So this is what I'm hoping, is that this will be a great jumper for her to have that can be washed really easily. She definitely needs more jumpers because she needs to basically wear one like every day in the autumn winter, and they need to get washed. There needs to be time to wash them. So a few more things in her little doggy wardrobe. So yeah, it's lovely, soft, fleece lined. So I think that's going to make a super cute little jumper. And then, as I say, she will match me and my jumper dress. So we will look very cool together, wandering the Cotswolds in our little matching gold jumpers. Okay, that is everything that I have to show you guys. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please do give it a like, because it does make a big difference to like more people seeing my videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that button, because I've got so many exciting things coming up. I'm going to the Knitting and Stitching Festival soon, and I'm going to be vlogging that, and obviously I'll be sharing all of my like autumn makes and sewing and all these wonderful things. I'm going to be doing some more Sew Your Aesthetic videos, things that you guys have requested. There's going to be a dark academia one coming up, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. If you want to see my makes in sort of real time and see what I'm up to, make sure you follow my Instagram. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will speak to you next time. Bye.